part of how those secret societies work. You know, they're everywhere. They're invisible. You don't understand why they're making these odd decisions that affect you. But once you understand that that's what's going on, it starts to make sense. And anyway, he says it's drugs, and the law enforcement and all of them are benefiting from the drugs, and we know that's true too. There's been a lot of evidence of the CIA bringing drugs into this country and using tactics here to get money from you so that they could fight the drugs that they're bringing in. Plus, the drugs are ruining a lot of lives. If you're talking about heroin and coke and all that kind of stuff. So, hey, Jeffrey, we were talking earlier today about how the New World Order is likely trying to instigate a conflict between those of us in the Patriot movement and the lower levels of the New World Order, that pyramid structure. Why don't you tell me and the listeners your thoughts on that?
Well, if you recall, the first time I was on with you, man, that was only like a month ago, before I became the co-host. I mentioned it real briefly, just for a moment, on the show, and it's basically a thesis I've been working out for a long time. It's the last part of my book, The Telescreen, has some information on it, and so does my film, The Illuminati of the Nephilim. That has actually quite a bit. And I'll just tell you, though, what the thesis is. And I think it's more than a thesis. I think it's slowly becoming empirical fact. And it goes as follows. All this stuff about basically the way that we're all looking at ourselves, the 9/11 truth movements and, the Patriots and the Don't Tread on Me's and everybody, we're all kind of in this alternative movement. And we know 9/11 is an inside job. We know there's a satanic secret world government and all that. But a lot of us have this idea that, we need to expose them and we need to tell our neighbors that they exist, and we need to figure this all out and bring them to justice. This is by design that this movement's getting just nothing but bigger and bigger all the time. Right. I mean, I can see that in so many different ways, and this is all by design. There's every single data point that you bring up anything about our movement, 9/11, Fox News, every single thing adds to this theory. It's just a different way of looking at it. We've been told, the basic theory is, okay, we got to get the criminals and throw them in jail. This sort of one, like I think I referred to it on your show actually a month ago, on our show now, as a one-dimensional way of looking at things. But, I think what I said then a month ago, John, is that if we were such a threat and we could arrest all these people, figure out who's running the secret societies and get them, do you really think they would let the Internet, which they control, they own it, they control the big corporatists, which are, run by the secret societies and so forth, they own all this. You really think if we were actually a threat and if it wasn't part of their agenda to bring themselves out, that they would allow a show like Don't Tread on Me to exist? And the answer is the biggest no, duh, and no ever. And that's just one glaring point. I could bring up all kinds of points. Every single thing points to, if you just look at history has always been the case where you've got two, to put it very crudely, but to make a certain point, you have two layers of a secret government that rule the world for all through history. Okay, there's one layer that everybody can see, all right? And that is the CIA and the CFR and the FDA and the World Trade Organization and those committees in the UN, all that stuff. Okay, we all can see that. It forms a secret government. Okay, they do everything in secret and they control the politicians of the governments of the world and whatnot. But behind that, there's a different layer. This is a whole focus in my movie that I went in, but I'm just going to tell you what's going on with it here. there's another layer behind it. I call it the sorcerers behind the king, to put it in sort of medieval terminology, sort of a Robin Hood terminology. And that we don't know. Even high-level Freemasons don't know who really involved. I just, as you know, John, have deduced and found empirically that it's the fallen angel Nephilim, or their offspring or something. And so basically that group behind the scenes, which is not easy to see and very difficult to figure out who and what they are. You can get clues that they exist, though, of course. They want to have all-out civil war, that's a bad way to put it, just chaos, divide and conquer chaos between the first layer of the secret government that I just referred to and the people of the world. Okay, that is the story of history. That describes most accurately what World War II really was, deep down. If you look at it beyond, the academic way they describe World War II is just so funny. Hitler just came to power and 4 years later brought Germany from the most pathetic, impoverished nation in the world to the ultra superpower, and it's just because Hitler was so smart he could do that. I mean, that's literally what the stupid academics will tell us.
Yeah.
Talk about unscientific, non-empirical junk. Of course, you and I know, John, and many listeners know, Rockefeller Oil gave money, IBM gave them the population machine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So go ahead.
Well, okay, so that's what they want. Let's talk about how that would happen and how that would benefit this Illuminati, the real masters of the New World Order. I think most people are following, CIA and all them, but they're behind the puppets like Obama, Clinton, and Bush. Those are the lower level yet than the secret government. Mm-hmm. Would you not agree?
Well, some of them. Clearly George Bush Sr. spans both. Yeah. He's in the pathetic, the minion secret, or whatever you want to call it, Congress, these total puppets. But then again, he was, head of the CIA before that, and he clearly, you know what I mean, John? He clearly goes
ambassador to the UN.
Yeah, I mean, there's all different sorts. I think Obama is. Well, actually, I'm not even going to comment. I don't know what that thing is. I think it's just some kind of a mind control robot sometimes. Just created from atoms up. But yeah, they're, I don't know, some of these people are very, very curious, and they're, like we were talking about last week, they're given all kinds of, benefits and, life extension technology, I'm sure, and, obviously just piles of money and power, and they're told, so I mean, they're in, half of them are lower level members of secret societies, so they probably think they're real high up. So no problem keeping them on the straight and narrow. That's why you can get them to be so loyal to their organizations. But there's many other factors involved too, as you might know. I think I discussed with you, John, before how I hold that. I think that a lot of the secret societies actually alter their consciousness in ways when they learn all these bizarre languages and so forth in Freemasonry and whatnot. Yeah. And so I don't know, as far as where, the pathetic most, I mean, really the whole, like I've said, the whole New World Order is just one big mass. And then it's almost like there's this huge mass of the world called the New World Order, and then on the top there's these Nephilimic super evil geniuses, to put it sort of in a funny way. And the big mass of the New World Order is just supposed to do nothing but war and fight. And then the ultimate, that's the whole plan, for a number of reasons that we can discuss, of the Nephilimic masters at the top who just sit back and watch the show. A great movie is called Death Race that I recommend. It's one of those Hollywood movies that just if you have a lot of listeners of this show probably would pick it up if they just want, before I even had to say anything, if they saw the movie. You just have to. It's one of those movies that just gives you lots of clues how it all works. Basically, it's just about a corporate monster, big